So, right as I was setting up for this show, I just got word that Jimmy Buffett, an iconic American singer, songwriter, musician, passed away September 1st, 2023. He was a hero to Dave Matthews. He played with the Dave Matthews Band on various occasions, and this will definitely impact not only the weekend for the band, but for many music fans who grew up with him. I know me personally, I was not a Parrot head, but my neighbors were. They would play some of his live albums out by their pool growing up. So rest in peace to Jimmy Buffett. This was shocking. It appears, at least people in the music world, that publicly there was nothing that indicated this. So rest in peace to Jimmy Buffett. We'll talk to we're going to talk. One of our guests has just saw Jimmy Buffett. I believe this was at Alpine either last year or the year before, so we'll go into that just a little bit, but definitely sad news out in the music world. But tonight we're going to talk about this Gorge night 1. We're going to hear from fans at the Gorge. If you're watching this live on the stream, or you know someone who was in the campgrounds, who was back at the Airbnb, who is in Wenatchee or Moses Lake, let them know if they want to share their opinion to come on the chat. We'll give them a way to call in or get a link to get audio in from their phone. I want to hear from the fans from the Gorge. The DMB post show stream starts now. It's your boy Concert Viz 34 back at home. What up? What up? It's your boy Concert Viz 34.
Yep, so your boy Concert Viz 34 coming to you here.
What up? What up? It's your boy Concert Viz 34. Aria. Okay, so this is Aria, and just tell us a little bit about yourself and about your love for the Dave Matthews Band.
I've been a fan of the band since April 28, 1998, and if you recognize the date, that's when Before These Crowded Streets was released.
Alpine is definitely a better venue than Summerfest, but we'll take it. I think I've been going to shows for about 20-something years.
I always tell people, like, compare DMB to now to when I first started, and I got started, in my opinion, I feel like I got started late. Like, I was at the very end of the band's prime. I feel like that 03 to 06 was like the end of the prime. 07, 08 was like, you know, we're at the very end, and then when Roy passed.
Dave really, this is the thing, Dave has put, Rashawn has been assigned the quarterback of this team. He is the coach, the play caller. He designs the jams. Dave just shows up and plays whatever he's going to play. Washington State, what up? Wenatchee, what up? Squalnami Pass, what up? Leavenworth, what up? Moses Lake, what up? Pullman, Washington, Washington State, what up? Spokane, what up? Vantage, what up? Shout out to Seattle too. Kirkland, Washington, what up? Bainbridge Island, what up? Across from Seattle. Everett, what up, Everett? Vancouver, Washington, what up? Vancouver, Canada, what up? Shout out to DNB Canada. DNB Canada folks from Alberta, from British Columbia, coming down to the Gorge every year. Shout out to my boy Mike Wilson. Shout out 40, aka DNB Daddy, made it to the campgrounds. Shout out Bridget and her husband. They made it safely. Big ups to my boy Jon Dix as well. And don't forget to hit that like button. All right. So welcome to the post-show stream. Again, just got news in that Jimmy Buffett passed away. Again, just shocking news. I hadn't heard anything about it prior to today as far as it being serious. Obviously, he's had his health issues over the years. Shows have been postponed. But that is definitely a huge loss in the music world for sure. All right, so we're going to get to this set. And we're going to try to get to our first caller as well. And again, let me check the chat to see if anyone's watching from the campgrounds. Connor's on right here. Let's see who else. I don't see anyone else who's at the Gorge, but if you are at the Gorge and you have a connection, we want to reach out to you. Let's put up the set list here. And I want to start off by talking to Connor. I know Connor's already in the chat. Appreciate that. See, let's slide that over just a little bit. And then we're going to get X over here. Shout out to X. Just so we can pull up some stuff here as well. So let's go ahead and set everything up for Connor. And we're going to talk to Connor about a couple of things here. As he went poster hunting, and he also was hunting for some D&B sets here, set lists, deep cuts, and all sorts of songs he's been chasing. So we'll see what he got that was new. Maybe a song he got that he had already heard before as well. Right, and we're gonna try. I'm hoping Jon Dix can come on. I don't know tonight if he will be available. Well, let's start off by reaching out to Connor F. All right, and again, don't forget to hit that like button. Let's get to Connor. And again, if you're just coming on, you're at the Gorge and want to chat, we will try to add you on, connection permitting.
Hello.
Hey, Connor.
Hi, how are you doing?
We're doing well, but we want to know, you were at the show tonight. What did you think of the show?
I thought the set was from top to bottom was pretty good. I'd like to start right away by saying that the American Baby intro as an opener was probably the best way that they could have started this weekend. And I was completely shocked when they started playing it. And, just the vibes right out the gate. The energy was at an all-time high.
Definitely, and I could feel it through Sirius XM radio, DMB radio channel 30, just the power of it, the mix, the sound, it sounded phenomenal here. And where were you sitting or standing today?
We're in the lawn for all 3 nights down in the right side by like the flat area.
Okay. And what is this your first time at the Gorge, or have you been before?
This is my second time at the Gorge. My first year was the alternative format year when Carter and Stefan had COVID.
Right. Oh yeah, 2021. Yep, I was there as well. And so this is your first full band show. What was it like to experience the entire band here?
I mean, it was great. I could tell that they really like playing here because, they've dug a few songs out of the darkness and brought them back. I mean, stuff like Spoon, American Baby Intro, Little Red Bird. They've played it out west, but for me to get to hear it, some of them for the first time ever, some of them for the first time in a very long time, very special to me.
Yeah, and you got a lot of songs. I think another thing that stands out, this has been a West Coast trend. You got a bunch of songs that have been played 5 times or less. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 songs in this set that have been played 5 times or less in this long summer tour. So that's definitely special. And how was the crowd tonight? Compared to your previous experiences in 2021, did it seem fuller? Did it seem emptier? Was it louder? Was it quieter?
I mean, this year's, I'm just speaking for Friday night, but this year's Friday night was more packed than 2021's Friday night. That's my assumption is, we're further out of COVID. So a lot more protocols were in place last time I was here, a lot more restrictions and guidelines, but now, everything is more open up. So I feel like, there's more people here now than there was in 2021.
Gotcha. Yeah, and that's definitely the case. Some people like us, we came back in 21, and it was a different time to travel and to prepare for things. Even a lot of price hikes at that time, and some people just said, "Hey, I don't want to risk anything in case someone gets COVID." And indeed, Stefan and Carter were out, so people weren't taking as many chances. But the last year or so, we've seen more fans kind of fill up these venues more. And this song, this show had some cool things as far as uh, a violin guest. You have a spoon as part of that. You get a number 27, and you get a seek up. Let's start off with seek up. What was it like to get one of 3 seek ups here for the entire tour in the entire year?
I was saying to everyone around me, I was very happy that I got a seek up again. This was my first seek up since Blossom, which that was June of last summer. So yeah, I was very excited when I first started hearing Dave playing the chords of seek up, and they delivered. That intro with Jeff and Rashawn was one of the best seek up intros I've heard personally, but I was awesome getting to hear that song again.
And Walk Around the Moon had the woos here. It had the longest stop time intro that he's been doing out west. Started in Highland. Did you woo, or did you just listen to the music?
Oh, I wooed, and part of me, this just may be me being biased, but I think I started the wooing for the Walk Around the Moon intro because I feel like I did it once and I was the only person who did it, and like 2 or 3 woos later, everyone in the whole building was going along with me. So I don't know, maybe I'm just making that up out of excitement, but I feel like I started a trend with that intro.
You heard it here first, folks. Connor F started the woos for Walk Around the Moon. So if you like it, shake his hand. If you don't like it, still be nice to him. But because there is mixed reaction here, or at least
you can flip me off if you want. It's fine. I take it as a compliment as well.
There's mixed reaction in social media. Some people like it. Some people think it should just let Dave play it and stop and let it be like that. So there's always that, even with the So Damn Lucky, the thank you ending. Some fans like it, some fans don't. All right, let's get to the main thing here, which is the violin. So walk us through, right as typical situation ends. Walk us through what's going through your mind, what you're experiencing as a violin player comes out here to guest with D&B for the first time, Brownin' Keith Hines. What was that like?
So after Typical Situation, I see them setting stuff up, and I'm like, oh, this is Molly Tuttle. She's going to play Spoon, and it's going to be great. But then Dave says a completely different name, and at first I did not recognize her. But then I saw her walk out with a violin, and the crowd slowly started to realize it, and the cheering just built up very slowly. Very cool moment. And that Tripping Billies was awesome. That was my favorite moment of the entire show. Getting that nostalgic feeling of getting to see the violin with the Dave Matthews Band again. Because I wasn't at the Hollywood Bowl when Anne Marie Simpson guested with them. So getting to see the violin with the band was very special for me.
Definitely. Now, question with Tripping Billies. One of my one of my frustrations with the beginning of Tripping Billies in the Sirius XM mix, before the solo, it sounded like the horns and the electric guitar were burying the fiddle. Like, I couldn't hear it. Could you hear the violin at the beginning, or did it sound like Tim and the horns were playing over?
I heard it quietly, but I feel like they turned the violin up only during the solo, and it was just background noise throughout the rest of the song, and with ants as well.
Okay. And I know when Tim Reynolds was a guest, when other guests are there, they are not as present in like a Jimmy thing until a solo or any song. But I was frustrated with that in the sense that I would rather hear the violin for 90% of that song, because there's going to be other Tripping Billies for years where you're not going to be guaranteed a violin player. So that was my frustration. Same thing happened to Bela at SPAC. You had a full "Don't Drink the Water" where he was buried in the mix. And I just feel like my thing is, when we have a Bela, when we have a violin or anything, any instrument that's tied to bluegrass or country, that's more acoustic percussive or softer strings, I believe the band should turn down and they should have it present the full show. But I mean, I get it. Sometimes even that violin player may not be ready fully for everything throughout the thing, and they turn them up for that solo, which they've prepared or prepped for.
Right, I'd have to agree with that. And she killed it during that solo, but it would have been nice to hear the violin, played throughout the entire song.
Yeah.
But she killed it during that solo.
And then we get Spoon. Now, what did you think of Molly Tuttle singing vocals on Spoon?
I really like her voice. She didn't sound like Alanis Morissette by any means. I kind of expected, her to sound different, but she played the part very well. And, the crowd got really into it as well. Right as she started singing, the place erupted. But I feel like she played it very well.
Yeah, and I'm not a vocal expert, but it seemed like Alanis sings more of a soprano, a higher register, and maybe Molly, but she's singing. It sounded like she was singing more like the alto parts, or like more of the lower parts. Like she was going lower where Alanis goes high. Did it sound to you like that at the show?
Yeah, somewhat. I'm not a vocal expert either, so I wasn't really paying attention to that too much. I was just in the heat of the moment, just listening to her sing. But I could see how she was singing the lower parts, whereas Alanis would sing higher.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, it was definitely a special moment to have that guest spot. And then Ants Marching. Walk us through Ants Marching with a violin.
That Ants Marching was wild. And I was very glad that they let Molly pluck on the strings a little bit on the guitar as well. It wasn't all just the violin and the solo. And a lot of the original fans probably would have wanted to hear just the violin. But for me, I loved the Ants. That was one of the better Ants I've heard. They kept going with the jam too. It felt like, they just kept carrying on with it. So I'm surprised Molly didn't sing during Ants. I would have wanted to hear her sing, but I'll take what I can get.
Gotcha. Yeah, I know. Well, Ants is kind of a tough song. I mean, unless you really have that vocal confident, unless you like, if it was someone who was more comfortable with the band. I know Molly's done Dave and Tim, and she's collaborated with Dave, but I think with Ants, you really got to have that comfort vocally to sing in, and you don't have the trade off like other certain songs have, like Spoons. So I think that's probably why. And excuse me. So we want to get to the poster because that's the biggest thing. So I have your post right here where you got one of the uncut gems here, this triptych here. So they had 65 uncut triptychs that you could buy today. Now, how early did you get in line? Let's start off there.
We got in line probably 12:30. We were a good 40 people back in line too, but we were still up decently near the front of the line.
Yeah.
So we got in, right when the gates opened. But and it's not like we sat in line all day. We had friends in Gold camping, so people would watch our stuff, and we'd walk over there, hang out with them for a little bit. But we get in, and I didn't know that they would have an uncut version of the triptych, so I ran as fast as I could just for the regular triptych, and I see that they have an uncut, so I pick one up instantly, and the uncuts costed $300. It was a steep price to get one of these. I'm surprised that it costed that much. I just assumed that it'd be the price of the 3 panels, but I didn't end up getting one, and they weren't supposed to come out until Sunday. So I got very lucky in that sense that they came out 2 days early, but I'm very glad that I have the uncut version of the triptych.
Now, as far as when you said you grabbed it, did you select it off a board? Was it just laying? Like, how did you find that it was there?
They were selling them.
Okay.
I feel that the merchandise people probably made a mistake. Just here's 65 of these posters. They sold them all today instead of selling them on Sunday.
Interesting. Yeah, I wonder about that, or maybe they were trying to sell them early. I will say that 300 doesn't shock me because the poster buying culture, especially at the Gorge, has only gotten bigger and bigger. I was there the year the Gorge Sperry was that Saturday, right? And I saw that line coming in for that Saturday. It's just the poster game. There's so many more people, even 20, 30, or not 30, but 20, 25-year-old years long fans who have been here since the early 90s. Some of them have just gotten into posters the last 4 or 5 years. So there's a growing addiction and appreciation for this. And the Gorge, to me, is the ultimate convention because you have a triptych, you have the single night ones, and then sometimes you have some other stuff, color your own, and some other things they throw in. So foils have gone up. I'm not shocked that having this all in one is that. And I will say this poster. I know you like Mazza, right?
I love Mazza. Mazza's probably my favorite artist.
I think this triptych blows that one out the water. I have
to agree with that.
I thought last year's triptych was disappointing. Now, one night of Jim Mazza, I'm fine. Like, okay, like the Alpine one that they've had, the Deer Creek one he just had with the fish. That's fine, but like the 3 nights, it was a weird poster. It looked too odd, and then you have to buy 3 nights of it. This one looks incredible. It is angelic. It is holy. It is just magical. He even said, I'm going to go to this here. I had this on Twitter earlier.
I saw on Facebook that Luke Martin said that this was like one of the most like one of his biggest achievements in his
Yes,
entire artistic
yes.
career.
Yes. So I'm gonna pull this up for the folks online. Luke said, hey all, I am humbled and elated and stoked and feeling so many things throughout this weekend. I am proud to present the greatest work I have ever accomplished in my career as an artist. Mr. Dave Matthews is doing his annual Labor Day run of shows at the Gorge in Washington, and I could not be more honored to have the opportunity to design the triptych commemorating the event. As so much of the Gorge's appeal is stunning, it's as much as so much of the Gorge appeal is its stunning natural beauty. I wanted these pieces to focus on precisely that, the jaw-dropping beauty of the natural world. Baptized in sunlight, its warmth and power and light and majesty distilled into a human form, its beauty and its grace. It's difficult to explain or find the exact words to articulate the feeling, but it feels like I've been drawing my entire life so that I could create this weekend set. Truly, this feels like the convergence of many different techniques I've been practicing in my illustrating compositions and narratives. I've spent this last year becoming so hyper focused on my ethos as an artist and what that means exactly. And this feels like the purest vision of the work I've always wanted to create. I felt such a closeness to nature and its universal flow of energy and power and all inspiration and healing. And this project is my ode to all of that beauty in the world. Wow, I mean that's a poem on itself. That's art, just describing what this means to him. And I thought this was great. Uh, I'm guessing the night. Oh, I thought I heard the night one panel sold out. Correct?
Yeah, the night one panel sold out. They still had regular posters after the show. And one thing to note, the prices for the posters went up to $70.
Wait, so you talking about the Winters poster?
The Winters poster was still available after the show tonight. And both the triptych panel and the Winters poster went up to $70. Bruh. Instead of $60.
Bruh. Wow. So they're trying to test the market. Now, to be fair, these posters go for much more. On the open market, a Gorge weekend poster will go for much more. I'm sure. Listen, if you, I would buy. If I'm somebody who's there, I would buy more. I'm actually shocked. Do you know the run for the let's start off with the Winters poster. Did you get that?
I did get the regular and a foil. I don't know I didn't look at any of the runs. I probably should have, but I did not look at the runs. I'm assuming it'd probably be 1700 for the show poster. I have no idea what the triptych would be. I'd have to check.
Wow.
Tomorrow's.
So I saw the crowd. I saw pictures of the crowd. I saw this poster, and I was like, this has to have sold out. Like this. I'm shocked.
Yeah, no, I'm shocked that it wasn't sold out too. At multiple merch booths we walked by, and they still had the posters on the wall, and people were still rolling them in tubes.
Wow. Now, some people said it was creepy, especially the glow in the dark. Or I'm guessing it glows in the dark. It looks like it was coated with. So you got the regular and glow in the dark.
Yeah. At first, it was a little creepy to me, but it has grown on me. I do like this poster, but at first, it totally spooked me when I saw it online.
Yeah. What I'll say about this, and Daniel Danger, shout out to him. I went on a whole rant on one of these streams about how like the Gorge posters were disappointing in 2021. And it was pretty much 2021 posters. I was like so upset because his poster was in 2022 last year. And I was like, I wish I could have bought the Daniel Danger one. And Daniel made a good point. The hardest thing about making Gorge posters where you have the nature is you have the brown stone and the dark water. So it's hard to, the colors of the gorge, of the climate, are hard to make beautiful unless you change the colors completely. Like uh Mumford, his apocalyptic one had different colors. It wasn't in clear color, it was in kind of distorted colors for an apocalypse. So that's one thing that's hard. What I love about Winters here is he was able to incorporate the colors of the gorge, tie that to like the greens that he has and the oranges that he has, and then kind of make a crowd right in a stage right in the middle of the formation. So I thought Winters did an incredible job of utilizing the colors of the rock and then tying in the oranges and the green kind of stuff here for the foil. And then the glow in the dark one just looks really cool. It reminds me of like the Black album by Jay-Z, which is in black and white. This is in green and black for glow in the dark. So it's really cool. But I'm telling you, kind of, I'm shocked right now. I think anyone who's at home who hasn't, unless they heard from a friend, they texted them, I'm shocked that these things did not sell out. But they did hike the price up from 60 to 70. And maybe that played a factor.
But I still feel like, we're at the gorge. At least for me, I'm just speaking for myself. If it went up from $60 to $70, that's not going to stop me from buying every poster that they're coming out with. And there's a lot of people here that, hawk the posters like I do. So I was in complete shock that they weren't sold out as well.
Yeah, and if you're buying posters or you're not at the gorge and you want one of these, keep that in mind. Use that as leverage if you're trying to do a deal or no deal. That means sometimes people will let you post the price, and then they'll say no deal or they'll say it's a deal. Just keep this in mind and tell your friends too. It's important to spread this word for other buyers, because some people just don't know, right? And they'll spend $100 on this poster thinking, oh, it was a tough one, and they really, hey, you need to get it at 70, maybe go up to 80 plus shipping, but you shouldn't be paying $100 for this poster unless you just have the money and don't care. But anyway, let's talk about Jimmy Buffett, because I don't know if you heard, I guess you probably did hear that Jimmy Buffett passed away. Are you aware of that?
Yeah, I did hear about that. I saw first on Twitter. It was actually Copperpot tweeted, I think, just Jimmy Buffett, and I was confused at first because maybe I was thinking, did they tease something in one of the songs or what? But then I saw someone in the chat for this post-show stream say "Rest in peace, Jimmy Buffett," and then it's blowing up online. But it's definitely crazy to me. I had the opportunity to see him last summer at Alpine Valley, and I really enjoyed that show. I'm glad that I did end up going. Yeah. But it does stink that he passed.
Yeah. Now, was your dad a huge Parrot head? Is that how you got into it, or?
I wouldn't say he was a huge Parrot head. He's seen it before I went, like once or twice.
Okay.
But definitely likes the music.
And wasn't that show rescheduled? Wasn't there a storm?
Yeah, so there was a storm at Alpine Valley. It was supposed to be like mid-July, and then they pushed it back to middle of August, and we wouldn't have been able to go to the show in mid-July. So when they postponed it, we just bought the tickets at the box office when we were up there for Fish the week prior.
Yeah. Wow. So yeah, definitely a huge loss, and I'm sure. I mean, I can't imagine a Saturday show where he doesn't mention, at least mention Jimmy Buffett, and I wouldn't be shocked if he covered a song. He's covered Buffett before. I'm
thinking a Pirate Looks at 40 gets covered tomorrow.
Right. Yep. And Jazz Fest, I believe that was their last time on stage together for a Was that Jazz Fest? Unless there's another
I think
time.
it was Jazz Fest. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's definitely that makes that moment even special, even more special because it was either the last time or close to the last time they were on stage, let alone I'm sure behind the scenes they have touched base there. Well, hey Connor, thanks for coming on. We'll check back with you tomorrow, and hope you and your sister and your dad enjoy the camping experience and enjoy night 2 tomorrow.
Of course. Hey, thanks for having me on. And you're a trooper. It's 3:14 in the morning where you are.
Yes.
So
I'm
pretty
about
soon you'll be able to go to bed.
I'm about to watch the sunrise and my soul's going to be exhausted. So it's going to
Well, there
be
you go.
Bruh.
And you have a good rest of your night. Thanks for
All right.
letting me on here.
Take care. Bye.
Yeah, bye.
So yeah, great. Again, I'm shocked. Forget the set list. I'm shocked that this poster didn't sell out. And now keep in mind too, there are fans who, just like Connor was saying, there are fans who buy a 3-day lawn pass just to go in and leave. So they use that lawn pass to scan in, go through security right away, and then they'll leave, go back to camping, go back to their car they're driving in, or even go back to their Airbnb if they have one really close. And then they'll come back at 6, 7, 7:30 to actually use their physical their actual ticket or seat or another lawn seat. It's not uncommon for that to happen, just so that you can secure the poster. There's a couple openers and you have a lot more time. Gates open at 3:30, so then you go back and just take some time to rest and recover or chill at the tailgate. So that is probably the one of the biggest stories of tonight is the fact that this poster didn't sell out. I thought it was a good poster. I thought the triptych is beautiful. And perhaps I think these artists deserve every dime of, even if it is 70, they really put some great posters out. But this is going to be interesting to see. I would want to say the economy, but people spend so much money on D&B, and if you're going to the Gorge, you're going to get a lot of people go just to get the posters. So this is shocking, but maybe they'll have to adjust it back down to 60. But obviously the uncut 65 of those were gone. But I don't know. All right, we're gonna try to call. Let's see. Let me turn this off. We're gonna try to hit up Ted Bro. Oops. Let's just edit this here, and we'll talk. Let me put this up. I will address. I want to address. There's good and there's bad that happened from night 1. I'm talking just the general behavior of fans. There were some great things. I want to highlight that last, but I will talk about some stuff in the pit tonight, and it's unfortunate what we'll get to that in a little bit. And let's see. But let's try to talk to Ted Bro. And if you want to be on the stream, if you're watching this replay and night 2 or night 3, I'd love to have people who are at the show. Hines we're not gonna have Hines, but check out the after show on Twitter. Don Dingle, he'll be on there. But I love Don Dingle. I love Hines after an actual show he's been to, because he can tell me about the show. I don't want Hines who's been drinking all night on this show. Okay, I know it's 3 a.m., but still. We don't want Hines on right now. Let him cook on the after show. He's already trolling Fish fans tonight, who were saying the best band ever, and he's like he's pulling up to they mentions and causing mayhem. Well, let's see if we can get Ted, bro. He said should be available. Let me see this. Oh, by the way, Price is Right. Yes, the Price is Right interpolation and crush was salute to that. Rest in peace to Bob Barker, who just recently passed away as well. But that I have confirmed that was the horns did that. They did that. It wasn't my imagination. It was intentional by them. But oh, J-Bo's here as well. Okay. Let me just talk to Ted, bro, and we may get to J-Bo as well, but let's see.
Hello.
My man Theodore, what's up?
Hey, what's going on, Marcus? How are you?
We are sitting at home in awe of the posters and awe of the SiriusXM stream. And I want to talk more about your experience of getting here for the first time. So let's start back. Walk us through you meeting up with your cousin and how you got to the Gorge.
Yeah, absolutely. I tell you what, we got in on, I flew in from Bend on Wednesday and met up with my cousin who lives in town in Seattle. So it was funny. We right away went to REI, got a bunch of supplies for the weekend, and Thursday afternoon, off we went. So yeah, that was about it. Got up here yesterday. It was real smooth with security, which was cool. We were a little bit worried about the anticipation of all the waiting that was going to be there, but wasn't too bad. And here we are today. It was Friday. Things have been amazing. The show was absolutely unbelievable, and it was a dream of an experience.
So walk us through you getting into this venue. Walk us through the moments entering in, seeing that Gorge sign at where you start off, and then talk to us about cresting that hill.
Yeah, I tell you what, real quick too. Shout out to my guy PJ. He made our whole night, whole weekend, and he was a part of everything that was able to unfold tonight. We were with him, and I was with my cousin, and we both were able to crest the hill together. And I tell you what, it was a super, super special moment. You hear all the hype about how amazing it is. You see pictures, but people say it, and it's still so true that until you actually experience it yourself, that there's nothing that you can quite put words to how amazing it is. It's one of a once in a lifetime experience, and it was a super, super special moment to be able to share with everyone who's around.
Definitely. And I say just my state of mind. I've been to 2 Gorge weekends. My state of mind in this environment of going to the shows, it's just completely different. It just I feel more laid back. The set, obviously you want these crazy sets, and you gotta. I mean, listen, this set was phenomenal. But even when they played songs I wasn't a fan of, even when there were some slower momentum builds and some of those weekends I went to, I was just happy to be there. It's about the environment more than it is about the set list, and that's not how East Coast shows are. It's just a different feel. And I think this is you in the is this PJ Carefree?
Yes,
and
sir.
You and he's in the straw hat. Yeah, very cool to see that, and awesome to get some hat. Awesome to hang out with people.
Absolutely.
Have you made friends with your camping neighbors or other people around you? How's it been going getting to know?
we have absolutely. Everyone's very friendly, welcoming, and willing to help each other out. Last night we had to sleep on the ground because we didn't have power for the air mattress. But today we found some friends who were able to take care of us. So little things like that make a big difference. And I tell you what, right now, believe it or not, I'm with my cousin. I'm with Bridget and Zach, and we're here at the campsite enjoying some chips and reminiscing about the night and sharing some special moments together.
That's awesome. Does Bridget want to come on the stream real quick?
Hey, Bridget, would you like to come on the stream real quick? Yeah. Absolutely. Here, one moment. I'm going to pass the phone over. There you go.
Hello.
Bridget, how you doing?
Hey, Marcus. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing well, and I'm so happy that you're with your husband?
buddy, me and Zach are here, and we're so happy. It's like one of the best nights of my life.
And so last night, do you want to talk about? We don't have to, but
No, I mean, it's all good. I don't know. Yeah, it is in the past, but it was an adventure, and we kind of just came here, and we both were just like, once in a lifetime, let's do this. Things started going sideways last night, and we both kept it cool, and put it out there to like our friends and family, and everyone kind of like sent us words of encouragement. But like the whole time, Zach and I like just stayed chill. We're just like, we laughed, and we're just like, this is part of it. And long story short, our rental camper van that was going to have all of our camping equipment with our grill and our canopy and our chairs and our bed, it got busted into last night. So we went to go pick it up at 9 a.m. thinking we get to the Gorge at 12. That was not what happened. So we just kind of did our thing and, laughed about it, made some calls, and rolled with the punches. And long story short, after wonderful outpouring love from like, you can't say strangers because we know each other. We talk. I was just saying, I'm like, I talk to Ted sometimes more than I talk to my friends in real life. Like these are my people. These are like, we're here. We rallied. We showed up. Shit hit the fan. People rallied. They gave us more than what we needed. It was a beautiful night.
and of course
perfect.
I see Meg.
Perfect. I'm rambling, Marcus. I'm sorry.
Oh no, this is, and I see Meg, who I've never met her at a show yet, but we've had tons of conversations over the last year, actually since the last Gorge, and she looks like she gave you a chair.
Wait, who? What?
Meg.
No,
Megan.
Meg's the best. Megan is incredible. So I met her at West Palm. We like literally, she needed a ticket. I was gifted a ticket the night before because we were short one lawn. And then the next night, because somebody else gave us one, we were one extra. So we gave it to Megan. I gave her some bracelets. We hugged, and I was so happy to meet her. At the same time, Kelly Archibald was there too. So it was just like, we just quickly hugged each other. We're like, hey, just like a soldier out in the field. But it's just, it's a beautiful community, and I am just so blessed and happy to be a part of the best that there is. There's not a better group of people that I know than Dave Matthews Band family.
Yeah, and it's so great to hear about what you went through. And I know, I've seen some other people have had some issues with flights, lost bags and luggage,
right, yeah.
and to see people step up.
It takes a lot of people, it takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of moves, and all you can do the whole time is just like be grateful and like take a second and be like, hey, thank you for working hard, thank you for being here, and like it all adds up. And look what happened. We showed up to the Gorge across the country with nothing, and now like we are so blessed for just Clark showed up with an air mattress and a tent.
Wow.
And I can't. PJ and Ted, and I'm at a loss for words. I'll have to gather my thoughts tomorrow once I really just. I've had my mouth open like more than half the night, just in awe of everything. So
and
I love you guys. I'm grateful that we get to like have this moment together and live in the same timeline as Dave Matthews.
Yeah. Well, hey, if you could pass it back to Tara, but hey, thank you for being on, and I'm so glad things worked out. By the way, as well, you came from a state of Florida that had a hurricane. Obviously, it was west of you, but just so many things. But I think when you go through these things, you learn so much about humanity. There's so much bad about humanity, but there's so much good. And I'm just so happy you're here. And we'll check back with you tomorrow. I'll be checking the timeline as well to see what's going on. And
all right, but thank you so much.
I'll talk to you later.
Yeah. Marcus, thanks for your hard work.
Yeah.
And shout out, Marcus. Flashback to death. Bye.
All right.
Marcus, thank you once again for the opportunity to let us talk.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, I think something just crashed. My X or Twitter just crashed, so I don't know if all right, it's back up and we're still on the air.
Okay,
So you're here. You started last night. You're here tonight. Got some help from people around you. What are your hopes or expectations or thought process for tomorrow night?
I think they left room for another amazing show with some really cool moments, and I really don't have any expectations, Marcus. Everything at this point is just the cherry on top. I'm just so thankful to be here. I'm so thankful to be surrounded by such amazing people, and I can't wait to continue the fun on and carry on with all the excitement.
All right. Well, hey, we'll check back with you tomorrow and try to see if you're available. If not, don't worry about it. But we appreciate being able to follow your journey here.
Hey,
and
anytime, I appreciate it too.
And enjoy your time here on the West Coast and stay warm. I know the temperature's probably already dropped a little bit from
It's a little chilly, yeah, but it doesn't feel too bad.
Gotcha.
And also one last second, shout out Donnie Dingle, man.
Yeah, Donnie Dingle, the after show. I'm not bringing him on now. He's been sipping some stuff tonight, and we don't. But he's got his own after show.
Right on. All right, I might have to call into that too.
Okay. All right. I'll talk to you later, Ted.
Thank you, Marcus. Appreciate it. Take care.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
All right. So that was Ted Bro 41 and Bridget as well. Bridget Hale. And Ted's from Wisconsin. Bridget's out in Florida in West Palm Beach County. I think it's West Palm. I don't think it's Palm Beach County. It's West Palm Beach County. Guys, I cannot stress this enough, and I'll speak about this over the next couple of days and probably make a video in the fall or next year. It takes a lot of preparation. If you've never been to the Gorge, you can Uber, but it's nearly impossible. Like, you can't rely on Uber and you're going to be paying a lot of money. You have to be able to drive 2.5 hours from Seattle and then Spokane. I can't remember how much it is. I've driven both ways because I drove across the state. I've driven over, like, each time I've been to the Gorge, I've driven over 2,000 miles and I landed in SeaTac. So I've driven from Seattle to the Gorge. I've driven the first time I was here, I went to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and Eastern Washington for the night, and then drove from there to the Gorge. Either way, it's a drive. It's a drive of hour and a half or 2 hours or 2.5 hours. And there's just nothing. There's some small towns, and then there's just nothing. And it's beautiful. It's actually, that's what makes it so great, that there's nothing. You don't have congestion. You don't have, nature is able to shine. But you gotta have, like, I know people are doing this, and listen, people are helping each other out, right? And I know people have helped my boy Jon Dix out. People have helped Bridget out. But, like, if you can't find someone last minute, you pretty much are stuck. So you have to prepare. You got to get the rental. You got to or get the camper. And in this case, obviously, Bridget ran into some adversity with that. But there's a lot of work that goes into prepping for this stuff to get there. And even the supplies, or even if you get a hotel, I've only done hotels, but I've actually stayed in the campgrounds. Like, I've chilled with friends 2 hours after the show in the campgrounds, then went back to my hotel for the post-show stream. But so I've been able to experience some of the camping life, just getting there early each day, leaving late. But either way, it's a lot. And it's exhausting by day 3, but it's worth it. But you have to prepare. You got to, if you don't have your money up. I know people, and listen, some people have been going to this on a whim, but really, you got to make sure you have everything set. You have money to fix a car. You have money to change a flight, because this thing is not like if you flying in New York City and you're trying to go to something in MSG, there's 50 different ways you can get there. You can take a bus for mad cheap and you'll be stuck for 2 hours, but that bus will get you there eventually. But this drive, driving from Seattle or Spokane or Portland, Oregon, it's a hike. All right, I want to get to I want to get to the good and the bad. We heard a little bit of the good right there, of people helping Bridget out, people helping Ted out as far as the air masters, and that's the type of stuff you're gonna get. That's the type of stuff you're gonna get at the Gorge. There's some incredible people. I walked in my first night, and there was just, someone was sitting next to me. Hey, I got a blanket, and she was by herself. She's like, "Hey, you want a you want to use my binoculars?" And I was using them, and then we're to this day we're still friends. And have checked in and seen how, like, not pen pals, but every now and then we'll say what's up. I've seen her at a couple other shows, and then I went back to the Gorge and saw her again, and some other friends, and I know more people. So we all kind of met our crews, but that's the magic of the Gorge. But there's some stuff. One thing with the Gorge is the pit always seems to have a lot of drama. And by drama, it's only a couple of people. The majority of the people are there for a good time, but it's just a couple people that make bad stuff. And what I'll say, and actually Bridget put this, I think this was on an anonymous post. But in this case, I don't like anonymous posts on groups, but this is one example of where being anonymous is to point out the ridiculousness of this. And you see a lot of this in the fish community, where there's tarps and people are like literally people will spread out on the ground like this, right? They'll drop down and get their eagle on, homie. Like, dudes are crazy in fish. And this right here is based on the poster. And I've seen other accounts of this happening. People are trying to save spots for other people that are not in the pit yet. And this is at the rep. This isn't like, oh, I'm saving some area in the back of the pit or the middle, right? Maybe you're spread out and you're trying to do it that way. This is absolutely ridiculous, right? And I'm not going to name call. I'm not going to call you MB, right? That's not but this needs to be called out. This has to be called out. And this type of activity, to me, should have some sort of suspension from the pit. Like, they should have your name. This is ridiculous. And I dealt with some of this in Hartford when I was on the rail. My friends did not get called in the lottery close to me. And you know what? I stayed by myself for the whole show. I didn't leave a spot for them and have them push their way through, because that's what it was. I was blessed to be on it. I probably will never. And this type of stuff makes me not want to go in the pit for the Gorge. Because even on like Saturday, if you have a Saturday pit, even the back of the pit gets wild. I've been right in front of the pit in seats, and it's just it's madness, and people are hopping over and sneaking in from other parts, other seats. But this is everything that I don't like about this. But and what they're doing, you can see. Now, sometimes, like when I was on the rail, I put my arms out, and I had to do that because these people were shoving people in front of me. But I didn't have my legs like stretched out like that. Like, my legs were just kind of regular, like this far apart from each other, and I had to put my elbows up because people were trying to slide in people. That's the only reason I put my elbows up. But like the guy in the green, like, that's kind of what. All right, that's fine, whatever. I don't know if the dude in the blue with the blue hoodie is part of that group, but the people over here to the far right of this picture, this is absolutely ridiculous. They are clearly trying to save space and block off. Now, by the way, the person who posted this picture, they got a lottery early entry selection. So they were part of the group of people that walked in first. And maybe they could have went over to the left or right, perhaps. But when you're trying to move forward and trying to get a spot, and this is what you see, this is discouraging. And they can, you can't play. If I don't believe it, you should not name call, you should not threaten them, you should not do X, Y, and Z, but they need to be called out. There should not be violence. You shouldn't be attacking their family, but this has to be called out. And I really would hope. I mean, I know the staff, the touring crew, they have very limited, like, this stuff isn't going to matter as much to them. Like, obviously with Dave and Camden, some dude was like pushing a kid and a woman, and that really ticked them off. But I really wish they would have some sort of monitoring, even if it's just one crew member, to really look at this, because this is ridiculous. And this is what's been going on. Now, I can't attest to every example of this, right? And some people are just mad because people get on rail. If people get on the rail, whether it's camping out, right? And shout out to Lauren Madeira, and people are mad at her and other people who would actually just camp out. And that's how it was back in the day. They would camp out, they would wait, but then they would all together on the rail. I have no issue with that. I have issues with people who get an early spot. And I saw this when I was in the pit. Get an early spot, stretch their legs and arms out to heaven, and then are trying to get, like, literally there's like a whole squad of people moved up. When I was on the rail, to my right, there were a whole bunch of people slid up. And if you even look at the picture where I was, there's a picture of me where I got in the selfie. I'm like this because people were like slide. I was literally turned that way. And listen, it is what it is. It was worth it to me. But I learned a lesson that, yo, this not, I ain't about this life. Now, if I ever get pit again, I'll probably chill in the back. Like, obviously, if I have an opportunity to go for rail, perhaps. But really, the other time I was when I was in Hartford, the other time in the pit, I was in the back and had the time of my life. But that front, and I know there's positive experience. People all the time, people I know are in the middle of the pit or close up, and they have great times. But all it takes is a group like this to kind of try to take territory. And honestly, I'm not opposed to them bringing back seats. And Hines, this was not a joke. This is not even this is what people are doing. And there's other accounts of this, of people who are just, and then people using their children. Like, obviously, if a child, you want to help a child to get up, but like people using their children and then like completely boxing you out of your spot. Not, hey, this kid's here, let's let him see Dave at the end, right? Like, no, you're like, don't use your child to try to kick out someone from their spot, or pressure them or guilt them. Oh, you're not gonna like the kid, right? And people have done that. But this stuff needs to stop. Now, how does this happen? Again, I think there should be more action taken by the band. And I know that's, again, it's hard. It's hard to really police, and there's other things they have to do, right? These tours, there's so much logistics, but this is horrible. This is horrible. And this is the absolute worst. And this is the problem I have is, like, we're all human. We all make mistakes. This is where hopefully these people, they need help, because there's an addiction to just having this and having all their people and having all this stuff. And I gotta be here every time. If I'm not here, it's the end of the world. And I gotta be right next to Dave and I gotta box out people just to get. There's an issue there, right? We're all human. We all make mistakes. Hopefully they learn from this. If this is being spread around, hopefully, hey, maybe I shouldn't do this. I believe in growth and change, but a lot of people don't change, unfortunately. And this is just, the obsessiveness gets to a point where it's too far, in my opinion. This is too far, stretching out to try to get a bunch of people over here. Like, you're all gonna be very close to Dave, and if everyone's respectful and courteous, you all can enjoy that show. And just because you're 5 inches back or a foot back from where you, like, if you hadn't saved this, it's not the end of the world. I get it. Some people are short. I'm 5'7". I'm not that tall myself. I'm 5'7". But if you're in front of someone who's tall, it is what it is, right? And I shoot a lot of video, and listen, someone's in front of me, so hey, it is what it is. I gotta cut. I can't shoot, or I try to shoot when they go to the bathroom. That's just that's life. But we can all listen to the music, kind of see the stage or kind of enjoy it and do what we can. And I don't know. Yeah, be kind of. The problem is, and the hypocrisy is, people will have these bracelets and Be kind always, no matter. And then they boxing people out in the paint like this, right? And it's not right too. I know some people have been bullied. Like there's been people that have been attacked personally, their family, their loved ones, and some of that. Like I don't believe in that. I would never endorse that to be like that far. But there needs to be consequences, right? And people always talk about like they don't like people who have different politics in the band. But the bigger issue to me is not, oh, you have a different political. Who cares? Honestly, are you kind? Are you kind to other people? That's what matters more. And a lot of people listen to this band talk about don't burn the day and helping others. And if you give, you begin to live. And they giving them the Matumbo elbow, right? They boxing out like it's Shaq in the paint in the NBA finals, right?
Bruh.
And that's his point. Now, what I will say though is I have seen so many acts of helping people get tickets, get food, get water, get all sorts of stuff that maybe they didn't have. Some people needed a ride. Um, like I said, my boy John, he had issues with his luggage, and people were really willing to help him out and get him in a hotel for a night. Like that's dope. You know, there's been other examples of people in Florida that needed help to get out of Florida or figure out another flight, and people have helped them to get there. And that's the good. I believe the good is more outweighs the bad. It's just the bad can just negatively impact so many more people. So I think it's great that this community has so many great people in it. And we see like Bridget and Ted, bro, they're coming together for this show. I think this is the first show they've been to together. But they're helping each other out. They're hanging out, and that's the beauty of this. There are friends that sometimes can become closer than family, or as close as family, depending on your own family connections and background and how you were raised, and were your parents there for you, were they not? But this stuff, like, and it's powerful. Like, I'm gonna be seeing some friends flying into from Mohegan, right? So it's just great to be here. And I think overall it's been great to see stories of people helping each other out and getting posters for one another throughout this West Coast swing. Some fans who aren't out west but love the poster, they identify with something. That's dope. And I actually may get I don't know. I may see. I'm gonna see what the APs are like for this. I may not. I may not, because my grandmother's cousin, the grandmother who I talked about last week, she loves butterflies. So I may get an AP, but that's $70. Like, because I know they had the Charlotte drive-in, but I actually may get that for her. I'm not sure yet. But anyway, but the community is awesome. And but yeah, shout out to my grandma. My grandma has like 5 or 6 cousins. No, 4 or 5 cousins that are still alive. And um I actually hang out with them when I go down south. It's actually awesome. It's like I have extra grandparents. So I may get that, but she loves butterflies. My grandma's first cousin. They're all in their 80s, living well. And I think that cousin will be 90 next year, which will be an awesome milestone. Anyway, I digress. What else? Oh, the fiddle. The other thing is, like, this is always going to be something. Like, obviously, this band with a violin guest feature, with a violin player, it's going to bring you back to the band that many fans fell in love with. There are a growing contingent of fans that started in 2018 to present, especially younger fans, but even older fans that just started going to shows. But the violin evokes emotion and connection, to a deeper connection to the songs for a lot of people. But like, every time there's like we had it last year with Anne Marie Simpson, who's married to Mike Inninger from Incubus. She used to be formerly married to Brian Calhoun, who makes Rockbridge guitars and Chick-a-Pig, and then there's another small guitar he made for kids to learn. There's all this, oh, the band needs a violin. See, this is when the band right now, the problem with that mindset is, okay, and what does that do to get a violin player back? Like, I talk about songs I want. These songs are actually coming to fruition. Like, I was like, oh, American Baby. I made a video about why I don't like Louisiana Bayou Verses, and American Baby intro was in it. And American Baby intro's back, baby. Busted stuff. We made a petition. You can petition for songs, or you can, have hope for songs, and they come back. Right now, Dave Matthews does not want a violin player. You're mad? The person you trying to sneak in their hotel room to get a selfie with, Dave Matthews, he's the person who does not want a violin player. And I'm fine with that. You may not be fine with that, and that's okay. But it doesn't matter. None of our opinions matter. Dave does not want a violin player full time. And as much as they've busted out crazy stuff, the biggest thing I think for me is the chemistry. But people are like, oh yeah, see, they're better with a violin. No kidding. You're a genius. You found out this band is great with the violin. But oh my God, you're so smart. Like, can you give me the lotto numbers? I understand the frustration fans have. But going on and
Bruh.
we need a violin. This, or else what? You're not gonna go? You still going to shows. And I know some fans stop going and don't go to as many. That's fine. But we could talk all we want about a violin, and some people want Boyd back, and some people just want a violin back, and I miss the violin. If Dave Matthews does not change his mind, we're not getting it. And you know what? I really don't. This band tonight, yes, there was a violin at the end. But even if you take away those last couple of songs, this band has been playing so just on point. These songs, the same songs they've been playing the last couple of years, hit different this year. They've reached new heights. And that's what's important. That American Baby intro, I was not thinking about a violin during that when I was at SPAC. I was in awe of the fact that this song is back and how great it sounded. The piano intro, the baritone guitar fake, not having the standard acoustic, standard tuning guitar that Dave used to play it on. That type of stuff is powerful. And that American Baby intro, to me, was one of the most powerful. Now, again, I can understand that some people are going to pick the best moment of the show is the end of, the Billy's Spoon Ants marching. And I understand the violin sounded great. I'm not debating that. I'm not debating that the band did not sound great with the violin player. Again, my only qualm was, and I guess I get it, thinking about it more, I get it. But I was like, yo, why just let the violin shine throughout all of Billy's? Like, we don't need electric guitar turned up to the max. But again, maybe, for that fiddle player hadn't fully had that confidence in the beginning of Billy's. If they have limited time, they're going to focus on that solo. That's how professional musicians do it. All right, focus on the solo. That's your bread and butter. And yeah, I just there's no point in trying to make a state. Yeah, violin needs to come. Okay, Dave don't care. He really don't care. And there could be something contractually that, all right, you can have X amount of guests or this, but the way that the money was separated and the way that Boyd walked away, maybe he got a severance or something, and maybe there was a promise that to not have a violin for 5 years. I don't know. We really don't know. But nonetheless, the band is making the best of what's around for the current lineup they have. They've brought a bunch of guests in, and yet again, they have this is another example of a violin player coming in just for a couple of songs. Now, they'll move on because Molly Tuttle is not going to be here for the full weekend. But it is what it is. Let's look at a couple other things, and then we'll head out of here. I actually don't mind that C Cup was only played 3 times this year. It is the least amount of C Cups in a full summer tour, full band year. Even the Caravan year in 2011 had more C Cups. But I like that C Cup took a break, and the C Cup was amazing tonight. And I think you got to attribute that to they took time away from it and they brought it back, and all the Seek Ups this year have been solid. Not that not that the song is like drastically horrible and they mess it up, but they've nailed it every time. It's like when a big man, maybe they only take 3 threes in the entire season, but if they make those 3 threes or make 2 out of 3, or maybe they take 1 3-point shot a game because they have a little bit of jump shot, they're open. Take it and then work your bread and butter. The bread and butter of this tour has been stuff like American Baby Intro and Break Free. More Break Free. Shout out to D&B Society. More Break Frees this year than 2006 when it came out, and it had a lot of stuff. Another fun stat: more Cry Freedoms this West Coast swing. In the West Coast swing alone, more Cry Freedoms than Seek Ups, 2-1. We get a Madman's Fake and the Minarets. That was something that they had at, I believe that was Deer Creek, and we get that back. Virginia in the Rain further down in the set, right? And I know that's Hines' favorite. And I actually, again, my family being in Virginia, my dad born there, my grandparents born there on my dad's side. My godfather still lives in the 757 Virginia Tidewater area. Shout out to my godfather. That song has a connection with me as well. But I like how it was moved to the 5 spot. They had that ABI came in hot, Break Free, Cry Freedom. Like this set was put together for the Gorge weekend. They had been opening up some shows with Virginia in the Rain, but they said, nah, we gonna let that sit at the 5 spot. Walk Around. It Could Happen is great. It Could Happen. So I know it's not everyone's favorite, but I look forward more to It Could Happen in this life cycle of the Walk Around the Moon than I did some of the songs from Away from the World and Come Tomorrow. Now, Away from the World did have some bangers, but It Could Happen is one of those songs where it's not the primary or secondary or even tertiary song from Walk Around the Moon for the album tour. It's one of those 7 or 8 most played songs. So it's been played 17 times, but like I only got it once in the how many shows I went to? SPAC, Guilford, Hartford, Mansfield. That was what, 2, 4, I think it was 6 shows this year. One play. But it was great and it was worth the wait. So I think the Walk Around the Moon songs, this set and even SPAC Night 1 are great highlights of why the Walk Around the Moon songs actually enhance the set. Is it going to be the biggest moment of the night? No. I think ABI and Ants Marching are 2 of the biggest moments of the night. The fiddle coming in at the end and then the ABI opener. The Pig too. I mean, listen, you had Little Red Bird, Pig Crush. That's a pretty solid encore with the Prices Right interpolation and Crush, which raises the stock of that typical situation. But I mean, this is a great set. The other thing that is great about this, they're not forcing Big Whiskey songs in. Now, Little Red Bird's from the EP, but to me, the EP for Big Whiskey is totally different than the studio stuff, like the stuff that made the main album, even the deluxe, because they have different vibes. Beach Ball, Little Red Bird, Write a Song, it feels like a whole different album. And I think that's why they made it an EP. Because it doesn't fit in with the actual regular album. And I actually like Beach Ball more than most of the songs from Big Whiskey. Most of them, not all of them, but most of them. I'll take Beach Ball over any day of the week. So we get a great Graves as well. Someone posted on Twitter that had been to the Trey Lionar Graves when he was in rehab and just got out. He was not too far away, but he was in rehab, couldn't leave the state of New York. But he went to that show. He was cleared to play at that show. He said this is the best Lionar Graves since that. So that speaks volumes if he's been to a lot of, all these shows over the years, including that Trey at SPAC. Lionar Graves, he said this is the best one since that. That's powerful. Let's see. Anything popping off on Twitter, on X? Oh, some other people were there. I don't see anything else. All right. I don't think I'm missing anything. I would love for Captain to be played. That's what Hines says. Sugar Man. We'll see if Sugar Man is played. With the 3 nights, you have a lot of stuff that pops up, but there's still a lot of stuff that's not played. So let's see if I can find. Let me see, because we have some stuff. So here are just a couple of things here with rarities. All right, so Say Goodbye has not been played since 9/4/2016. September 4th, 2016 at the Gorge. So that's a little bit of a time. Spoon was last played in 2014, played tonight. Busted Stuff has one play at the Gorge, 9/3/2010. So Busted Stuff has never been played at the Gorge with an acoustic guitar really being played by Dave. Only one play in 2010. Last number 40 partial was in 2011. And this is always the stat that I quote to the death is last JTR on the West Coast and the last JTR at the Gorge was in 2006, September 3rd, 2006. So that is another thing is the Gorge misses some of those. Shotgun hasn't been played for a while as well. So there's some songs that missed the Gorge for periods of time. And some of these songs were brought back over the years. And especially like Busted Stuff, for the band not to play Busted Stuff here is a pretty rare thing because this would be the place you'd want to play it or bust it out, literally. Or no, there's only one play of it, right? There's only one total Busted Stuff in the entire history. That's pretty wild. So those are some of the stats. Speaking of that, these are just some stats. Now, this was one poster. There was one poster, and I replied to them directly. That's the thing is I try to when I say stuff on here, if I see a thing on a thread, I typically try to reply directly to that poster to put my point across. I don't like to just complain subliminally or send shots someone, complain on another thread or go on Reddit and be like, oh, this is a bad take. Like I don't do that. I'd rather reply to it and then put it on here. Someone was like, oh, these sets in California and Oregon were so repetitive. Is the Gorge gonna get like some crazy stuff? I think they deleted the post because I think they got it. Like, I fam, I get it. I'm gonna delete this. But this was my response because people were like, don't sleep on the West Coast as far as what they just got. They got 14 songs with 5 plays or less pre-Gorge. So before tonight, the West Coast stuff, Highland, Irvine, and Bend. 14 songs with 5 plays or less before the Gorge. She, Spoon, 27, Stolen Away, Cry Freedom, Sledgehammer, Little Red Bird, Come On, Lover Lay Down, Lie in the Hands of God, Cornbread Sister, Drunken Soldier, Rye Whiskey. Those were all songs that were played 5 times or less before we headed into tonight, Gorge Night 1. You had 4 shows in the early West Coast swing here, pre-Gorge West Coast swing, 4 shows, 4 tour debuts, 1 Liberation, and then to me, Cry Freedom is just an ultimate song chase for me and for many fans. People walked into some of these West Coast shows and got Spoon, and that was the only song they needed to complete before these crowded streets. Fans who have been going 10, 15, 20 years. And that was a positive experience for them to get Spoon for the first time ever. But like those are impressive stats that there were 4 shows, 4 tour debuts, and then 14 songs with 5 plays or less by the time you ended. So they may have been played multiple times throughout this West Coast swing, but they were still under 5 plays before tonight or before September 1st. It's actually September 2nd now. Sun will come up in like 2 hour and a half here. So yeah, just wanted to bring up those stats because people just say stuff and listen, you can have a different opinion, but you gotta put up the stats. Oh, my boy Jon Dix is on. All right, I didn't even notice he was on. Guys, we're gonna bring on the homie Jon Dix. We'll run this even if it goes a little longer. But I'm glad that he's on. He's actually on. He got the link. He's back at it. He got good Wi-Fi. He ain't camping with the peasants. Nope. He's living good. Got a crib out there with some folks. So we're gonna bring him on here. We'll talk briefly and we'll try to bring him on for extended play tomorrow. All right. Jon Dix, how you doing?
I'm great. Good evening. How are you?
I'm doing well. So, do you want to share kind of your experience of how you got to the Gorge? Or you want to just talk about the show?
Yeah, we can rehash it. I mean, Thursday started off really rough. Flight got canceled. I managed to get to Seattle yesterday, but my luggage got lost. Still can't find my luggage. Alaska. They are passing the buck off to someone else. So I don't know where my luggage is, but hey, I made it to the Gorge, and that's all that really matters.
Yeah, so that's a lot, and you started your day off early, so you were Thursday.
I got up at a Thursday 5 a.m. I was at the airport.
Wow, so you were
Yeah,
ready to go. You got the early flight out, and still that happened, and you'd mentioned to me and online that you had some friends help you out, take
yeah,
care of you, make sure you were picked up or set to go, and I think that's incredible. And again, when the logistics of helping friends out, that could mean driving round trip 4 hours, round
right.
trip
Yeah,
hour and a half. So that's great that people stepped up. And again, did you see the pictures? Let's go to this here. Do you see the pictures of these people in the pit? I
the
think I
rail
sent.
slugs.
Yeah,
I saw one picture of those rail slugs all spread out. Is that what you're talking about?
yeah,
Yeah, that was nonsense, man. I don't know what's wrong with people these days, man. It's not that serious.
yeah. So
Yeah, that's embarrassing, man. Let's go ahead. Let's not even get that shine. That's
okay,
embarrassing.
all right. We'll move on.
Yeah.
And so the first thing, let's go to the posters in the show. I heard Connor said the poster didn't sell out.
The Winters poster did not sell out. When I was walking out, it was still at 3 different stands. I don't know what the run was. I do know that the card had a run of 350. Typically, it was 150. So tonight they pretty much doubled the run of the card. I don't know what the run of the poster was, but they were selling the triptych all together for $300, which was insane. They're doing 65 each night.
Connor got. Oh, so was it intentional? Did you hear if it was intentional that it's 65 each night, or was it an accident that they sold them?
That's just what I heard. I don't know what the actual process was, but $300, that's insane. I don't know if I would have dropped that bread on that. And I'm pretty reckless when it comes to the posters and very impulsive, but $300 for a poster? Nah, I don't know if I would do it.
I think at the Gorge you can get away with that because you just need 65 people. It's
right.
If it was like at 200, nah, that's not. And Connor's one of those guys, like he actually bought one. And
did you see? Also, the poster was set. Also, they raised the prices.
Yes,
the
70.
card was $30 and the posters were $70.
So these were $30 at the Gorge.
Yes.
Wow. Because I think these were like
they taxing. I don't know if it's the Washington state tax or whatever, but they were taxing tonight.
Oh no, there's no way. Even listen, I've spent 2 trips out here. I know you're on trip 2, and the gas is high, and this is high, but there's no way that the sales tax and the county tax make it so that the poster's 70. Like you have to spend $100 or more for it to get that wild. So that's. They're trying to cash in, but I don't blame them because they're trying to fit demand.
Hey, and it's supply and demand. If there's a demand for it, they're going to supply it. So I can't hate on capitalism.
What I love about it too is it allows for more buyers to enter the market. Like the fact that this poster didn't sell out, people think they're going to get away with a wild list. We see it all the time. People are still trying to sell that Mazza poster from the diptych or whatever you call it.
Yeah, the diptych,
They're trying to sell that thing. Like I showed you the other day, people trying to sell that, and that was a trash poster. And people are trying to sell that 100, 115, 120, the non-foil one for that, and the foil for more. And it's like, I like how when there's more supply, just a little more supply, it helps it to market the buyers to get out there. Now the show itself, what did you think?
No complaint. It was a well-balanced show. That Cry Freedom was the early highlight for me. Like after Cry Freedom, I was like, everything else was just money for me. But then when they brought out the violin, I I'd gotten used to not hearing violin with DMB,
Yeah.
but then like hearing it again, like the first song that she played on, you couldn't the mix wasn't right. At least didn't sound right to me in the house. But once they got to Ants, the mix was good. You could hear her really well. But during tripping, it was kind of like in and out. The mix wasn't right.
So the Sirius XM stream, and maybe that's just what it, because we've had sax players, their mics don't work, and we've had guitar players. Actually, they have the best luck, but sometimes they're kind of timid and they're trying to work. You can tell they're like Clay Cook in Guilford. At first, he was trying to like gauge out how he was sounding. So, but I was frustrated at the crib because it reminded me of Bela. Now, this was at the end of his run with Don't Drink the Water, but it
Yeah.
reminded me of Don't Drink the Water because I'm like, Tim is turned up. I thought Tim turned up more during Billy's, and like the horns were louder, and maybe it just was the fact they had to dial in the violin, and they
Yeah,
were
the mix
giving
was
cover
definitely not
fire.
there at the venue. But then once they got to Ants
Yeah,
and Spoon, they had it dialed in perfectly, and it was good.
yeah. Spoon was better at the Sirius XM mix because the song is quieter.
Mm-hmm.
It allowed for the violin to start at a point, and then they were able to adjust it. I think Molly Tuttle had a little her guitar, right? She was playing a little. So you were able to Spoon starts off quiet enough where by the time you get to that ending, they were able to dial in. And live audio, shout out to them because live audio is not easy. I was just playing at my church in front of a couple hundred people, and in the middle of the thing, a DI box went out for a bass, but so I'm hearing like static on these headphones, and like the way that they have to adjust all that. They gave him a new DI box in the middle of this, like learning that and playing out to in some larger venues at this church here this summer. I've learned like it's hard to do this stuff live. You could have every practice, every this, but live audio is hard. So I get that. And then the encore. What'd you think of that Little Red Bird Pig Crush encore?
That was a perfect encore. It was great. It had a little bit of everything. It wasn't, wasn't your, looking for a vein or anything like, I like Little Red Bird. I love Pig, Crush. They killed it. There was no complaints about that encore. I'll take that encore any day of the week.
Yeah, and the first time Pig was in the encore since the Gorge 8/31/19 show, that was my second Gorge show ever. So it's cool to see like that's what you're gonna get at the Gorge, a Pig in the encore, and like that's a rarity. You typically don't get that in there, and I think what you said is what I'm learning. Like this year has been for me. I know you've been here a couple years where you get something like Cry Freedom and you walk away happy. Because listen, the band's gonna play what it plays, but they sound great.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't set list watch, especially at the Gorge, just enjoy the moment. And this is like the staple of this tour, I feel like, is every show in July was like that. And I will say this, and you can give your 2 cents. I some people were like, oh, the West Coast shows kind of fell off a notch. But I feel like with the West Coast shows, you have a Highland, California show where not only did they play Spoon, you're in a venue where it's probably the best sound all tour. From all accounts there, the people who went to SPAC, people went to this, that venue was state of the art for the sound. It's a newer venue. You then go to Irvine and you get Spoon again. Like if you couldn't get a ticket to Highland,
Spoon opener.
Yeah, you get a Spoon opener, first ever, right? I think it's the first ever Spoon, or no, first one in a while. But the point is, like, yeah, they didn't have the level of SPAC. It was not there, but like that crowd at Irvine is not SPAC. It's not Deer Creek. We had a bunch of 2-night stands. Even Guilford has a great crowd, like a lot of knowledgeable fans. So those crowds, they're going to go a little extra for those crowds, where Irvine, you have some diehard fans who typically travel to the Gorge, but you have a lot of casual fans who don't get even Virginia in the Rain. They still played it because they've been doing what they want. But a song like Virginia in the Rain, it's a momentum killer for the casual fans. So I thought
But
the band,
it's LA though, so
yeah,
you're gonna have a lot of casual fans there,
yeah,
and you're gonna have more just because it's LA. That's why it's the 2 night run to
yep,
meet that demand, and also a lot of people. There's so many things you can do in LA. A lot of people a lot of those people just went because Dave Matthews is in town. They did one or the other nights. So
yeah,
D&B, they're catering towards a different audience. It's not, you can't go to Irvine and think you're going to Deer Creek or SPAC. That's just not
right,
realistic.
right, yeah. And actually, let's put some respect. It's Orange County. They don't recognize LA. That LA is the ops. Uh, Orange County, which even though it's like 20 miles, portions are 20 miles away from LA, it can take an hour and a half driving. But anyway, yeah. So and that's their last shows. Irvine's shutting down. They'll have to find another venue. Probably maybe they do Shoreline. Maybe they don't. I mean, this West Coast tour ends with the Gorge. They packed up, no fiddlers.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think that's one thing you have to be aware. This band does a great job of playing to the audience
Mhm.
that they're part of it. And actually, one thing I'll credit this year, they're playing stuff and they don't care. Like Virginia in the Rain should not be played this much in any tour. Now, I've advocated for it to come back. I enjoy it every time, but the casual fan is not getting into this song.
Mhm.
But
It
that's
should never
between,
open a show either.
yeah, yeah. They've been opening shows with it, but I will say this: if the band's watching, I don't know if you are. I like you guys playing stuff to say, I don't care. I'm gonna play Raven. I'm gonna play Captain in front of a big crowd that wants ants. They've been chanting ants for five. They've been yelling out ants for 5 songs, and you still play Captain. I actually like that the band's doing that, playing some of those deeper cuts. And no Big Whiskey tonight. I love that. No Everyday and No Away from the World. But I love. What do you think about that? Do you want Big Whiskey to go away?
I don't mind certain Big Whiskey songs, as long as they don't play You and Me and Shake Me Like a Monkey. I don't care about the rest of the songs.
Gotcha. Actually, let's look at the song count. You and Me is kind of, listen, I mean, they only can play it one more time, really. But You and Me has slowly, and this is actually, again, another great thing about this tour. It's got 9 plays, but it hasn't been played that much. I mean, last played in July, played once in July, twice in June. Really, You and Me was played all through Mexico and Texas and all that stuff. So there's only been 3 plays from June 2nd to present. 3 plays of You and Me.
Make Me Miss You. That's how I feel about that
Yeah,
song.
yeah.
Make Me Miss You.
You gotta prove you're irreplaceable.
Yeah.
You can't be a stage 5 clinger trying to holler at me. Go live a little life, right? Graduate high school, graduate college, and then you looking better than the other girls at
Yeah,
those.
right. And spin the block. The spin the block. Man, you and me spin the block like in 2028.
Spend the yeah. Yeah, but that's really, I think that's important because it makes you appreciate it. Like even I don't know how you feel about Seek Up. I like that Seek Up was only played 3 times.
Seacup was so sick tonight. It was so good.
Right. And I think having that time off, it makes it even more special,
Mhm.
versus forcing it down. Sometimes they'll play it a couple times to try to get a rhythm, and it's like, all right, that one is okay. But the one to, yeah, listen again, you were there, but listening on Sirius XM, that the way they were dialed into the mix was phenomenal, and again, it makes it special for the Gorge. So, any other final thoughts before we go? And the sun comes up here.
No, no. I just wanted to thank everybody that reached out and helped me out while I was, trying to find my luggage and everything. And just looking forward to tomorrow. See everybody tomorrow at the show.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on, John, and get some rest. And hopefully that suitcase does get to you soon.
All right. See you tomorrow, brother.
All right. Peace.
All right.
All right. So got a late night Jon Dix interview. And oops. All right. So we'll end this. That's the stream for tonight. That's 4:18. Let's see. We'll give you some Guilford. Oops. Thank you guys for checking out the post show stream. I will have this all the topics tracked here tomorrow morning. I gotta sleep, but let's see. Yeah, we'll do looking for a vein, and what we'll do is I think it's a great song. Uh, in a set, it can slow stuff down, but the message of the song is important, especially for weekends like this. The people, the experiences, enjoy it. Don't try to chase the next thing. Don't worry about how the West Coast don't have any shows. Y'all got shows tonight and tomorrow night and coming up. So we have stuff here. Some devil socks from he says, why are people from Connecticut the only ones left? Right. Yeah, we're up late here. Sun's about to come up soon. What's the sunrise? Let me see what sunrise is. Oh, J-Bo. Sorry, Jay. I'm gonna call J-Bo tomorrow. We'll hit him up tomorrow. Oh, sunrise is in like 2 hours. Forgot that we get less sunlight this time of year. All right, so we'll get to this. Looking for a vein. Thank you guys for the support. Hit the like button. Tell a friend to tell a friend, especially this Gorge weekend. Check out these streams. Gonna be having people live reaction from the Gorge, and what's great about this, all these people on the campground or nearby. We can get them right after the show without even waiting like tonight. All right, thank you guys. Peace. YouTube Conserviz34, X, Instagram Conserviz34. SPAC Night 1 video out. This is Guilford Night 1, Guilford Night 2, Hartford, Mansfield. Full videos, multi-cam videos. If you are missing Dave and you're not going to see him until the fall, or you won't see him for the rest of the year, check out Relive the Moments from those shows I was at with some great content. Shout out to the tapers as well, the video recorders, that some of that footage I mixed in with mine. SPAC Night 2 is coming. It'll probably be a month and a half. I'm trying to work on it at a slower pace. I was exhausted from getting that SPAC Night 1 done because I didn't start it. I started it so late. I didn't start it right after SPAC, and then it's like crunching for a week and a half to get it done. Anyway, let me get out of here. I digress. Peace.